Trophy hunt races in Valheim are speedrunning competitions where you have 4 hours to collect as many trophies as possible, with late game biome trophies being worth way more points. I recently fell in love with these competitions and have been watching hours of speedrunners like Henrik, Threadmenace, and learned 24 hacks these pros use that help me and hopefully will help you become better Valheim players. Make sure you let me know in the comments at which number you first learned something new, and let's kick things off with number 1, using the torch to get wood quickly. The torch provided to you when landing in Valheim is the most effective tool for acquiring quick wood by giving nearby saplings a quick whack. By the time the torch expires, you should have sufficient wood to craft both the hammer and club. The club is first of primarily only 3 weapons used for these speedrunning trophy hunts, of which you will soon learn why. The hammer, on the other hand, is critical for building, but if you did not know, unlike most other weapons, unequipping the hammer does not have a sheath animation. For this reason, speedrunners bound the hammer to a key and quickly switched to it, and sheathed the hammer, rather than sheathing their weapon to get back to sprinting more quickly. To avoid wasting precious time chopping wood, rather, place workbenches nearby wooden structures and deconstruct them with your hammer. Further, you can do the same in future biomes like getting fine wood from furniture in the Black Forest, or core wood from structures in the swamp. The fastest Valheim players are keenly aware of structures in Valheim that can be deconstructed for fast resources. Apart from that, your first priority in a speedrun is to gather flint for the flint spear. This will be your main weapon for 4 reasons. First, it is incredibly cheap to craft and upgrade, only requiring flint, leather scraps, and wood. Second, the spear weapon class levels quicker than any other weapon, getting 2.25 experience per hit compared to the typical 1.5 for most other weapons. Third, it makes a ton of noise when thrown at the ground. Use it to aggro neck out of the water or draw boar near you, which are hidden amongst the brush. And fourth, and most importantly, the secondary attack allows you to hunt deer without having to craft the crude bow to get the critical deer meat and hide we will need to progress our speedrun. But of course, to even craft the spear, you first need a sheltered workbench. To accomplish this quickly, speedrunners often use environmental overhangs or roofs from structures to get quick shelter like wooden huts, burial chamber entrances, or even troll caves. Alternatively, use the wide base of an oak tree with a couple roof pieces or place a single wall behind the bench with a roof piece. Do this to save you valuable time before establishing your permanent base, ideally near a Black Forest biome. At this point, you have likely gathered some meat to be cooked. To prepare your meal the quickest, you can place up to 5 cooking stations over a single campfire. This way, you can cook your boar and deer meat 5 times as fast to accelerate your journey towards the valuable 40 points the Meadows Boss Trophy provides. Fortunately, I have a slick strategy to defeat them quickly. Before the fight, ensure you have 20 or more stone and a stack or 2 of wood, because campfires will be our weapon of choice. When Eikthyr spawns, place 3 or 4 fires at their feet and circle the boss. While attempting to turn and face you, the great deer will take continuous burn damage. All the while you turn, repair the fires beneath their feet to keep the damage coming, and in mere seconds, the boss will be defeated. While I am still an amateur at this strategy, hopefully you get the idea. As you turn your attention towards the Black Forest, you should not waste much time in burial chambers. In fact, all we need from these are 5 Surtling cores and the Elder Location's Vegfasir stone. To complete our speedrun, we only need enough Surtling cores for 2 portals and a 5th for a secret weapon I will explain further in a later tip. Speedrunners only bother making 2 portals, one stationed at their home base and the other materials are kept in their pocket, only used when needing to return home for a sleep or to pick up or drop off resources. Further, do not bother naming your portals, as 2 unnamed portals will still connect. If your home portal is unnamed, all you need to do is drop a workbench portal and immediately have a gateway home. Apart from that, burial chambers make for a good opportunity to showcase 3 combat techniques speedrunners are famous for. First, use the doors in dungeons to your advantage to lure and isolate skeletons from one another, or time the opening and closing of chamber doors to block arrows from archers. Second, remember you can build some structures in dungeons. Make use of the campfire whenever you can to do some extra damage or block skeletons' progress altogether with a cooking station or wood stack. You can use campfires for additional damage on stronger enemies outside of chambers as well by placing them in the path of creatures like brutes and trolls. And thirdly, bait your enemies' attacks and step away to force their miss. This uses less stamina than blocking or dodging. With burial chambers out of the way, your next priority will be finding trolls. The reason trolls are so critical to any speedrun is that in these runs, making metal is too time consuming to realistically pursue. For this reason, we will never have the copper and tin to craft a bronze axe for the fine wood needed for portals and the fine wood bow. Fortunately, that's where trolls can help us out. Find a troll and lure them to an oak or birch tree in the meadows, at which point dodge their attacks as they swing, forcing them to knock down and destroy the trees on your behalf. With some patience, you will collect several stacks of fine wood. At a minimum, you will need fine wood for 2 portals, a fine wood bow, and an additional 5 for the secret weapon I will reveal later. In total, you will need at least 55 fine wood to speedrun, and perhaps a bit more for fine wood bow upgrades. And while you have your troll pal, it's also worthwhile knocking down some pine trees. The core wood will be used in the fine wood bow recipe, but will also be handy should you have 5 deer trophies for a stag breaker. Once done with your big blue helper, take the sucker down. The troll hide from the carcass will allow you to elevate your armor rating with the troll set. At this point, you will have effectively crafted all the weapons and armor you will need to complete and pursue a high trophy hunt score. It's time to start fragging out and seek the late game biomes for those valuable trophies, and believe me, I have countless tips to share with you that will help you navigate Valheim's most difficult biomes, despite only having Black Forest level gear. But before we get there, let's tackle the Elder. Like Eikthyr, we can employ the campfire strategy to take them down, albeit a little more slowly with the Elder having a higher health total. Place your fires, the more the better, and circle the boss, forcing him to slowly drain his health while you focus on repairing the campfires. With the Elder out of the way, we seek out a swamp biome to continue our trophy hunt. Again, since we're skipping the crafting of metals, the raft will be our only option to set sail. Ideally, try and spot land in the distance before embarking to avoid long sails at night, as your vulnerable raft won't stand a chance against a serpent attack. That said, as you start to approach land, wail on your raft's mast with an axe. The reason we do this is we want to deconstruct the raft to carry with us after the sail for future sailing if needed. Rather than wait to bash it to pieces when we land, we can decrease its durability down to nearly nothing so we can one-hit the raft just as we touch shore. With swamp found, using biome borders to your advantage will be very important. Rather than sprinting into the biome, if you happen to find a black forest or meadows adjacent to the swamp, use your bow to draw enemies out of the mucky mess and fight them on easier terrain. This will allow you to avoid the wet status of the biome and the water-covered surface of the swamp. Similarly, speedrunners will often do this in the mountains as well, aggroing drakes or wolves down from the freezing mountains and fight them where they are safe from the freezing temperatures. Doing this allows us to get valuable later biome resources early and of course the valuable trophies in our competition. Further, this strategy allows us to use creature factions to our advantage. If you did not know, every Valheim creature has a faction and will happily fight creatures of opposing factions. You have likely noticed this with the Forest faction Stone Golem fighting the Mountain faction Drakes or Wolves in the mountains, the Undead Growths fighting the Plains Fueling, or simply Skeletons fighting Grey Dwarfs. Familiarize yourself with these alliances and use them against each other to your benefit. While furthering your adventure in the swamp, you may inevitably get poisoned. Without having crafted bronze, you won't have a fermenter, and consequently poison meats making poison damage even more severe. One hack you can use if poisoned is step through a portal. While the damage over time poison timer will continue to tick, you will be immune to damage while going through the animation. This could be the difference between life and death on your next trip to the swamp. Of course, when entering the swamp, you will surely encounter abominations. Like trolls before them, you can use them to destroy your environment for resources, typically locked behind metal tools. Bait them to swing at you and hit a nearby ancient tree. Once broken down into log form, you can either chop the remaining tree with a flint or stone axe, or alternatively, have the abomination smash the logs to bits. And with ancient wood in hand, you'll have finally found the final ingredient you need for the powerful bonfire. Like the campfire before it, the bonfire can be used as a powerful weapon against many of the stronger creatures in the game. Combine your 1 remaining Surtling core and 5 of each core, fine and ancient wood to build a bonfire near a pursuing abomination, and place at least 1 wood to light it. Do your best to aggro the beast around the fire, all while its health is slowly whittled down by the flames. Keep in mind, all fire sources slowly take damage while dealing damage, and like the campfire before it, may be destroyed during combat. Don't sweat it, as when destroyed, all the materials will be returned to you to simply place again and continue burning your foe. Like against the abominations, I find the bonfire continues to be quite effective, against other big enemies like Locks in the plains and even Seekers and Seeker soldiers in the Mistlands, should you advance that far. Alternatively, if you stumble across an abomination before having the ancient wood for the bonfire, try dragging the abomination over the flaming Surtling spawner should you have one. Like with the bonfire, let that tree boy burn. If fortunate enough to encounter and defeat 2 or more abominations, you will have gathered enough root to craft the root harness. While speedrunning, better armor can be difficult to find without taking the time to farm metal, so the root harness will be invaluable for survivability against archers' arrows and deathly stings of mosquitoes as you advance to the plains. Unlike previous biomes, trophy speedrunners will often skip bowmass, as without poison resistance and cheesy boss strategies, time is better spent accelerating our trophy pursuit into the mountains. Without frost meads, your first trip into the snow can be a challenge. Ideally, before entering, circle the biome and see if you can spot the entrance to a frost cave. Once spotted, ensure you have your rested buff and pop Eikthyrs Forsaken Power. These 2 buffs combined will give you reduced stamina usage and increased health regeneration to allow you to tank the freezing damage as you climb. Once at the peak, you can hop into the cave to seek safety from the freezing temperatures. If you do get stuck on your climb, place a campfire on the ground. While standing near the fire, you won't take freezing damage, giving you time to recover stamina and health before continuing your climb. In the mountains, ranged warfare will be your friend as the damage dealt by its creatures really begins to outscale your armor. Outside the frost cave, use your bow to snipe creatures from a distance, and when they get closer, opt for a spear toss. If surrounded by multiple wolves, lay down a workbench and hop on top. Rather than attacking you, they will hit the workbench, giving you time to take out the wolves with your bow. Inside the caves, you will want to move slowly and pick off sleeping wolves to avoid fighting multiple enemies at once. Like that of the swamp, the frost caves provide an opportunity for a speedrunner to get better armor and frost resistance if you happen to gather 20 Fenris hair and 5 wolf pelts for the Fenris coat. With the acquisition of the coat, you should be able to take down Moder should you be lucky enough to find her location nearby. To do this, all you need is a pickaxe for digging a hole and the recipe to craft the bonfire. Dig underneath her spawn stone, ensuring to leave a space large enough to place a bonfire just outside the lip of the spawn stone. Next, dig a small space underneath the lip where you will stand during the fight to shield yourself from Moder's attacks. You can also try to build a small ledge next to your bonfire location to place an additional 2 regular campfires for a chance at increased damage on Moder. From there, place the dragon eggs and summon her. Once summoned, run to your cubby and light the bonfire. While underneath the lip of the boss arena, if done correctly, Moder will not be able to see you. When Moder loses line of sight, she will land at your location above ground. If correctly done, her legs and wings will hopefully clip into the flames of the fires you have placed, damaging the dragon. Continuously repair the fires as they do damage, and after 5 to 10 minutes or so, Moder will cry and her trophy will be yours. Let me know if you found these tips useful, and if you're interested in learning more about Valheim trophy hunts, check out the highlights from my first ever competition right here.